Welcome to Bosco Campus Vision. You're watching the campus television channel of Don Bosco College, Kottayam. This lecture is on the prescribed syllabus of 5th semester BA English Literature and Language. Paper is Literary Criticism. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about literary criticism, literary theory, and literary history. These are the important terms that we encounter in literary studies. Let's see what is literary criticism. As we discussed in the earlier lecture, literary criticism is the study, analysis, evaluation, and interpretation of literature. In other words, it judges the value of a work. In literary criticism, a particular work or a body of work is evaluated according to its aesthetic value, historical, cultural, social significance of the work, use of language, and insights of the work. Literary criticism are often published in essay or book format. Next, let's see what is literary theory. Literary theory is the systematic study of the nature and function of literature and the relation of the text to its author, reader, and society. It can be described as the frame that supports literary criticism. Literary theory consists of a variety of scholarly approaches to evaluate a study. In simple terms, they can be described as the different perspectives or angles scholars use to evaluate literature. Some of the major schools of literary theory include formalism, reader response criticism, structuralism, gender or queer studies, post-colonial studies, psychoanalytic criticism, Marxist criticism. Formalism that focuses on the structural purposes of a text. Reader response criticism focuses on the response of the reader to a text. Structuralism focuses on the universal underlying structures of a text. Gender or queer studies focuses on the portrayal of gender and gender relations. Post-colonial studies focuses on the influence of colonialism on literature. Psychoanalytic criticism focuses on the role of consciousness and unconsciousness in literature. Marxist criticism focuses on the political, economic, and social in the literature. Now, let's see what is the difference between literary criticism and literary theory. Literary criticism is a study, analysis, evaluation, and interpretation of literature, whereas literary theory is the different frameworks used to evaluate and interpret a particular work. Literary criticism is the use of those methods to understand meaning in literature, whereas literary theory provide the methods by which readers and critics look at the meaning of literature. Literary criticism is the practical application of literary theory, whereas literary theory is a combination of the nature and function of literature and the relation of text to its author, reader, and society. Literary criticism are often published in essay or book format and it judges the value of a work. Whereas literary theory, it is a description of the underlying principles or tools by which we attempt to understand literature. Next, let's see what is literary history. There are traditionally two basic ways of organizing the vast and rather heterogeneous material called literature, that is by genre or by historical period. The latter approach is called literary history. Literary history breaks down the historical flow of literature into distinct periods arranged in chronological order and classifies literature on the basis of the assumption that the literary text written in a given time span have certain characteristic features, norms, and assumptions in common, while they differ in these features, norms, and assumptions from works written in another time span. Identifying the common characteristics of a period in literary history, pointing out differences between two periods, or showing how literature evolves from one age to another are all fruitful considerations for the literary historian. Apart from this, literary history is also very useful in the study of individual works of literature. The more we are aware of the characteristic beliefs, attitudes, assumptions of a given period, the more we can appreciate a literary text written in that period. In this lecture, we have discussed literary criticism, literary theory, and literary history. Do the exercise and submit on time.